So in this video we're going to paint a sphere, and you need to have your 4 shades of grey or blue or whatever you want to use along the side here, and your template. The first thing you want to do is put the ball in around 40%. So I'm going to quickly mix up about 50 to 40% grey sort of mixture as my base coat, and then you want to paint the ball or the sphere using that 40%. For now we'll just concentrate on the ball itself, and this is just a base coat so you can clean it up a bit later. Note my highlights here, so I'm going to leave sort of a whiter area in the middle, and I want to go reasonably quickly so that I can come back and blend my paint. So now I've got my sort of 40%, 50%. I'm going to quickly get my first coat of roughly 10% and work it into the middle here. You are going to need several coats, so the best thing to do is just put down some quick base coats which aren't going to blend as well as the next coats. So you note that I'm using a circular flicking motion to blend my paint, and that's the best way to suggest or show the form. Okay, so I've got a good base coat down now, and while that's drying I might also put a reasonably good base coat in the background. For that I'm going to use my close to 70% once again. You'll note that the highlight is in the foreground and the background is a lot darker, so we can quickly come in here and paint the background. At this stage you want to do what's called cutting in, nice and close to the ball to show the form. Once again, you can always come back and tie this up a bit later. Really good to get base coats down because it helps to seal the paper, and also helps to just add a bit of depth to the image and a bit of texture. Great, so now I've got a base coat and I've got my ball looking alright. And now I want to work in some more finer details and smoother blending. So I've got my highlight to work on, and then it goes roughly from about 5-10% to 20%, and then to about 40%, and then to about 70%. So I want to try and work some of that in. So I'm going to start with my highlights, just dabbing that in. And while that's still wet, I'm going to quickly reach across and get roughly 20%. Remember, acrylic paint often dries a shade darker than what you actually want it, so it's always good to mix it a shade lighter than what it appears. And I'll go through sort of roughly blending in my highlights into the background there. And the ball's looking reasonably round at this stage. While that's drying, I might put a little bit more into the foreground there. So the foreground to me looks around about 30%. So I'm going to put that in there. In this demonstration I am hurrying it a little bit, and you can afford to take your time a little bit more than I have. So just by cutting in there, I've suggested the shadows of the ball, and while my highlights are still drying, I might just get a bit more darker tone, perhaps 70 to 80%, and then I'll come back into the shadow, this cast shadow I think it is, or shadow of the ball, and work in that a little bit better. Okay, and so that's how you get a good start shading your sphere. And like I've just been doing, you basically want to slowly work up all the layers, and then the closer you get to finishing, the more layers you get, become more and more careful with your blending. But you note on my ball I have a good 5 to 10% highlight going through to 70-80% of my dark tones, and then a nice dark in the background to make it stand out. And also, don't forget, I was using that circular blending motion to suggest the form.